Hello, you guys. This is such a beautifully big week. And I'm in love with this week this way because it is all cardinal energy. It's this feeling of we've been stuck for so long. There have been so many roadblocks. There's been so much pain and change and growing that has been kind of like under our surfaces, this unique rebuilding of our souls, as if we're these new beings and we haven't introduced ourselves to ourselves yet. And this week, to me, is bigger than just Christmas, because to me it really signifies the new year, because that's what solstice really is. When solstice comes around, to me, this is where the big shift happens. It's not about Christmas and it's not about the new year. It's really about that pinpoint moment when you're looking through the eye of a needle, when you can finally deliver the string through it. And some of us, it takes more effort, and some of us, it's very easy. And, some of us take our licks real well, and some of us don't. And I woke up this morning to an earthquake alarm at 2:30 in the morning, and it got me so thoughtful just about how in an instant, everything can change. And when we say that, in an instant, everything can change, we always go to this apocalyptic place. But what I love to think about, what I was bouncing around with my friend this morning texting, was that change doesn't have to be bad. Even if it seems like it's bad, even if the mirror of what change has been brewing under our surfaces has been painful, it is time to change. And that's what I love so much about what this week has to offer us, because so many things are happening, so much more movement now, whereas before there wasn't so much movement. And now we have that cardinal energy to really take accountability and stock of the little people we've been planting and digging and watering and growing inside of ourselves that maybe we haven't been ready to claim yet. This is a claiming week. It really is, because Jupiter today is moving into Aries. It was in Pisces, so we were manifesting these dreams, these things that felt implausible to us, these secrets we keep of who we really want to be when we grow up, because do we ever really grow up? So we've had these things, and now with Jupiter moving into Aries, wherever Aries is in your chart is going to become electric. Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac, and it knows how to get things done. And so all of the sudden, we've been dreaming these dreamy dreams, or at least hoping, or at least, harboring some secret fantasies. And now this cardinal energy comes in to say, how can we start building? How can we get going? How can we get started? And I think that's been the problem, basically since COVID, is how do we get started? How do we start something that we are unfamiliar with, So it's really this brave new world we're going into. And then on Wednesday, tomorrow, is the solstice. And I love the solstice. And here's why I love it, because it is the darkest night. It is that moment where you can really look inside yourself and say, where does it hurt? Where is my darkness? How am I sitting with my darkness? Are we holding hands? Are we at odds? Am I at odds with myself? Am I at odds with others? Do I not feel connected to people, to my people who normally I do feel connected with? It is this darkest moment. And that can feel scary and lonely and hard and ungrounding. But however, whenever we're at our darkest moment, that means we're at the place where the light can come back in. So solstice is so beautiful because, yes, it's the darkest night. We've been building towards this darkness. We're in a Scorpio moon right this minute. So we're in this very deep place of trying to understand our darkness if we want to. This energy is always if we want to. Every reading I ever give is always if you want to. This is the energy that's available to you to work with. This is the energy that can help or hinder your growth, And so the solstice is, to me, when I'm reading a book, that hero's arc where they're really in the thick of it. They're in the part where you're like, I have no idea how they're going to work their way out. And so here we are at this apex of darkness. But what the energy is here to give us, because the sun is moving into Capricorn during the solstice. So Capricorn rules the house of work, of hard work, of commitment. We can feel it in how we can work with our hands and our bodies and our commitments to build a new foundation of something. So I love this for us because it's like, do you trust in the light? Do you trust in your light? Do you trust yourself? Because this is the free fall moment on Wednesday where we fall into the darkness. We can get very introspective. We can get very sad. Maybe that's why we have to have a New Year's Eve and a New Year's, because the solstice really isn't about necessarily the light. It's about the dark. And don't we resist the dark so much? We do as a species. We don't want to think about the scarier things like this earthquake alert at 2:30 in the morning. You don't want to think that you're going to be woken up from bed and something cataclysmic is going to happen that's completely out of your control. This is solstice energy, isn't it? It's really understanding that we were never in control to begin with. All we can do is work to rebuild the things that we break, because we're all bending and breaking in the proverbial winds of our lives. Our lives are built to break us down. Nobody is given a free pass, no matter how much you think somebody is. I really think of that dancer Twitch who committed suicide this last week. It's like, you can think a thing about a person. You can think that somebody else has something that's so much more wonderful than what you have. But we only know our own inner struggles, and we only have the capacity that we are built for. And that is where compassion needs to flood in, to know that no matter how well off someone may seem, we all are on our own hero's journey, and we are all going to be faced with trials and tribulations that bend and break us. And to feel broken is a beautiful thing, because when we break, that's when the light comes. And so many times we don't focus on the fact that the light is gonna come back in. So to me, the solstice is a faith moment of, do you believe in the light? Do you believe that no matter how many dark nights of the soul you have, the light is right behind you, waiting to come in? And so to me, this is this beautiful moment that we get to sit in, where we get to honor our victimhood, where we've been broken, where we've been hurt, where we're attached to outcome, all of these things. But then we get to crack it like an egg. We get to just of our own doing, right? We have the egg in our hand, and we get to crack it and open it and let the light back in. Because after solstice, it's a slow build up into the light. And it's in Capricorn. So this is why we make New Year's resolutions. This is why moms work so hard on Christmas to create the magic, because Capricorn is about work. It's about, okay, let's put on our big girl, big boy pants and let's get some shit done. Instead of this hopeless, helpless feeling that we have, let's empower ourselves. Now, we usually kind of blow our load by being like, I'm going to work out every single day and I'm going to never eat a chocolate brownie. And, it always revolves around these things we don't like about ourselves. But what if this solstice season, we build upon the things we already love about ourselves, right? What if we could be more of the thing that we love about us? What if we could build on not the places where we feel we're having a deficit, but the places where we feel expansion? What if then we really put our fingers into the dough of the things that work for us? Imagine what you can build. The thing that always gets us, though, is we focus on the things where we think we're failing, and then we try to fix those things. And then, after Capricorn season, we go into this very aloof Aquarian phase of philosophical, what's it all for? But if we can like really align ourselves, then when Aquarius season comes upon us, it can be all about innovation. We can innovate ourselves, our very souls, and say, here are the things that I liked that I'm going to keep building. And now Aquarius is going to come with ways that are unexpected to nurture and continue. So we can be in the abusive cycle where we're hard on ourselves and then feel like we need to change, or we can be in the productive cycle where we see where our strengths lie, and then start rebuilding those strengths. Because imagine if we could all just love ourselves, just give ourselves a break. Just like, if you're not good at something, why do you have to focus on how you're not good at it and need to get better at it? Why can't you, if you stink at art, just draw something that sucks? Like, who cares? Because it's all about the process. We're so concerned about the end result that we don't think about how the process is growing us, changing us, living inside of us. And that's really what this solstice energy is really about. Like, what if you could really change your perspective and how you're viewing yourself and your current life circumstance? Because Capricorn is about long-term themes. And what is so freaking gorgeous about this week, what I love so very much, is it's the solstice, and then on Friday it's a new moon in Capricorn. I love this for us. It's all new cardinal energy. It all wants us to move. Can we commit to ourselves? Can we do the work that it takes to really commit to the journey we've set upon and be open to answers that maybe aren't in our like peripherals right this moment? Can we have faith that the light is coming and then build upon that? And what if you could change everything? You know, the work that needs to be done is here and prevalent, leaving Sagittarius, going into Capricorn. Sagittarius is the philosopher, the one who wants to, think about new ways of living, of existing. It's religion, it's school, it's all of these things that want to teach us and grow us. So we're coming from this like very basic desire to want something, a new philosophy and something new. And then Capricorn has the foundation to be like, yeah, brah, let's freaking do it. Let's be new, and we haven't felt this, I feel like, in a while. This is the apex of a hero's journey we've been on for a while. Like there are solstices every year. There's Capricorn every year, but the themes of it are always different. And this one feels really big to me. What does darkness mean to you? And how can you work with your own darkness to find this opening, this deep breath? Because the deep breath can only come when you let go. The relaxation can only come when you release. What do you need to release this year? This is what the solstice is all about. And this is what, on the darkest night, I want you guys to go to bed thinking about. What can you release this year? What is no longer serving you? What are your limiting beliefs that are creating the darkness inside of you? Because we're all this smorgasbord of our deepest, darkest fears about ourselves. And so when we come into contact with someone that maybe mirrors those fears, we can have these intense reactions. And it's all different for everyone. And so the quicker we can get in touch with ours, the more compassion we can have for others. Because the truth is that we all have our own breaking point. And I think a lot of us have reached it. This year, last year, the year before. It's been an incredibly transformative time and not in the easiest way, And we're going to be really reminded of that this week. So with a moon in Scorpio right now, it's quite a lot, it's quite a lot to sit and be in these dark depths, though we have capacity. The moon's helping us right now. And then it's, going to move into Sagittarius, which in effect is going to feel, like the movement gets started, like we can start thinking new philosophies and thoughts. Everything follows in this beautiful line this week that wants us to open, to ask, to need something different. And then what is that something different for you? And in turn, how do you change it? How do you move in the energy? Because we've felt stuck for so long. It's been so long. And some of us choose to not. And that is also a choice. And what I love is that whether you choose to shift or not, the world moves us. We move the world. No matter what, these changes are going to happen. I'm not asking you to step outside of who you are or what your capacity is right now. I'm asking you to have some faith in letting the universe move you. That Jupiter is now in Aries and it wants us to move. And if you trust that the energy is going to align with you, what kind of moves do you think you could make if you were working in tandem with the universe? What a question. Oh, I pulled the moon again. I think I pulled it last week, didn't I? Well, here we are. Big reminder that we have a whole universe. We have all of our existential answers inside of us. That sounds kind of, like they would fight against each other, but they don't, because when we understand that we are the universe, when we understand that whatever is going on in the outside world, we only have control over the inside world. And if we put half as much effort and attention to what's going on inside of us, we'd have so much more recollection of what our ancestors have been through, of what our body hurts are and why, of where the ancestral wounds in your family lies. Because if any of us are being honest with ourselves, we all know that we come from trauma. And we don't always know what that trauma is, but the ability to sit in the family ancestral trauma and understand better why we have the deficits we have from a non-judgmental perspective, non-judgment, intuitive perspective, the sooner we can let that light in, because we start poking holes in the places inside ourselves where we didn't believe in ourselves or where we thought we were the problem. And really the problem is the lack of belief in ourselves so often. I really feel that for all of us. Ooh, and I just pulled this card too, which is the Knight of Rods. Like, how can we prepare ourselves, adorn ourselves with our own armor? The second we empower ourselves to charge into whatever is next, the more prepared we're going to be to accept the consequences of what it is that this life is here to teach us individually. We have to prepare ourselves, and we have to be willing to charge into the next. And I feel there's been such a stagnation lately in our feeling helpless, in us feeling like there isn't a path. I don't understand because there isn't a path laid out for me. Or maybe you've tried a few things. You've been like, I've been trying, like I'm trying to get myself out there and date, or I'm trying to do this new career, or I'm trying, and it just hasn't worked. And it's like, yes, not working is working. Not working is the work. What isn't working and why? And how are we holding ourselves up from the trueness of us that we're manifesting and building inside of ourselves? The power is all on us. And I think that we avoid that a lot. We are our own warriors. The power is on us to change our reality. Our partners aren't going to do it for us. Our parents, our kids, our friends. Nobody can shine the light on you until you are willing to see you from a vantage point that is non-attachment based. And we're all attached to the roles we play in this life as friend, lover, mother, daughter, son, father, all of it. There's so many roles and hats that we have to put on. But when we come from a place of, I don't know who I am, then the way the tide moves us is going to be so much more dramatic. Whereas if we can stand our ground, if we can just stand in our usness and accept us, if we can be the first person to accept us, then other people, other scenarios, all these job interviews, dates, things that you go on are going to go different because they're coming from a place of self-understanding. So that when something doesn't work out, you're not like, why does this always happen to me? Of course this is always happening to me because there is a reason. There is a lesson. There is something that is trying to talk to me in this universe to tell me that I am doing it in a way that needs moving. So if we saw everything that happened in our life as this ability to grow us, break us open, and show us something about ourselves that could really move us and change our lives, what if all the things that happened to us were opportunities? I want to believe all of that. I'm not always there. That's not always me. I feel really stuck so often, and these last few years particularly so. I've been in a cycle of loss, and to me, loss can be the biggest blindfold, because when you start losing, then your hands start gripping because you feel like you need to find something to hold on to. And the biggest lesson in this life is there is nothing. There is nothing to hold on to. And when you can start moving around in the energy without those clenched fists, without the need to control your environment, when you can understand that there is no such thing as control or attachment, because the more controlled you are and the more attached you are, the harder that when the thing gets ripped out from you, it's going to hurt. This has been the lesson of my 3 years on this earth right now, is that everything that I held on to so tight got ripped away from me, and understanding that I had a control problem and that I needed things to get ripped away so profoundly to understand, because being a Libra, I have a very airy mannerism. Like, I come off as uncontrolled. But that's not the truth, is that inside there were all these little gnomes, all these soul gnomes doing this work of control, of keeping me safe all the time. And now that I realize that it was a ruse, that there is no thing that I can hold on to unless it's holding on back. You know, a handhold is so much different than a fist clench because it's a choice. And so when we understand that we always have the choice to let go, then that's what this solstice is all about. What can you let go of? Can we commit to ourselves? Can we do the work? And what does darkness mean to you? These are the questions. I want you to put on pieces of paper what you're ready to let go of. And I want you to burn it tomorrow night. I want you to light some candles and set new intentions and then put those on an altar. We need to start bumping up what we want and throwing away what isn't working and what we don't need or want anymore. Even if we kind of want it, you know, but we know it's no good for us. Even if you want the chocolate, but you are allergic, you must let it go. You know, that's a silly reference, but there are things in our lives that are creating inflammation of our hearts. And we need to figure out how we can let them go and rebuild our armor in a way that is more true to our very nature and our very selves. I hope that this solstice brings all of these answers, and that you can trust this week that the light is now going to be building, and that it's coming back, and that we're coming back, and that we have the fortitude to do so. Please do like and subscribe. I so very much love to hear from you in the comments. I love to know if this is resonating, if this is feeling good. I'm going to come back soon with New Year's predictions and how the energy is going to be moving in 2023. And thank you so much for listening, you guys. My heart is so grateful at the end of this year, knowing that I can talk into the great void and that there are a few people who will listen. Happy solstice.